Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. So yes, my name is Karina Cabrera, and I am the co-founder of Open Access, and we are a talent strategy firm that is working with companies to create gender equity in the workplace. I have to tell you that I love waking up every single morning, knowing that I am helping a woman attain her dream job and helping companies create more inclusive workplaces. So, I have to start with a story. And it's a story about me as a young 11-year-old. And I'm sure you're probably confused because I look like I'm 6, and I think you're right. I was looking through my pictures of me around 11 and 12, and I realized that it was my awkward phase, and I was not gonna show you that picture. So here I am, I think I'm 6, and that's my cousin on your right, and she doesn't know that I'm sharing this. So cousin, I love you and I'm sorry. So I want to talk to you about me as an 11-year-old walking to my grandmother's house. And I walk in, I would go every single day. I just loved the woman. And I'm walking down the hall and I can already smell that she's making this amazing stew. Any Dominicans in the room? Probably not. Okay, well, it's called asopado. I don't know if anyone has heard about it, but it's a hearty stew. It's so delicious. It's nice to eat when it's super cold outside because we lived in New York City. And I walk in the kitchen, my grandmother is cutting all the vegetables and my aunts are there, they're all cutting, seasoning the meat, and it smelled so, so good. And of course I jump in, I'm like, hey, let me help, and I start cutting. And my grandmother immediately turns to me and she's like, Amor, you're gonna cut yourself, you're left-handed, you're holding the knife incorrectly. Why don't you go to the living room and supper is gonna be ready soon, so why don't you meet us there? I had no problems because I hate the kitchen, I do not like to cook, so it was no problem. So I happily go to the living room, my uncles are there, they're watching baseball and talking politics with my grandfather. And so of course, here I go, I'm getting into the conversation because I want to talk politics too, why not? And my uncle turns to me and says, Karina, you should go to the kitchen and learn how to cook, or you should learn how to clean so that you can one day get married. And I don't hate on my uncle, whew, poor guy, he's such a sweet man, he means well, but you know, it really shows to me at a really young age the cultural expectations for young girls. And so I thought it sort of ended then, but that would not be the case. Then fast forward early in my career, I have the opportunity to work in a legal department in New York City. I'm super excited. I think I want to be a lawyer. I had just finished my master's, and a gentleman by the name of John and I start the same day in the same division. And he, I guess, felt comfortable enough with me. He tells me that he's making $20,000 more than me. And I thought, I was kind of confused. I thought perhaps he has more projects that he's working on, right? That's the natural thing. And so I said, maybe it's that, or maybe they made a mistake with my salary. So naturally, I go to my manager and I say, hey, John is making X. I think you guys need to fix my salary. And he said, no, it's not a mistake. And he didn't have a good enough answer for me. And frankly, I didn't have the skills to negotiate properly, perhaps. I'll chalk it up to that. But it really left a bad taste in my mouth. This was me being super eager as a professional young woman, being slapped in the face, right? And then fast forward, I am pregnant with my second baby. I'm working in Washington, D.C., and I'm working at a federal agency. And I tell my manager, because I assumed there was paid leave, that's silly me, I talk to him about my leave because, again, I'm pregnant, so I want to plan everything out. Like a good employee, I want to make sure everything is set. And so I say, how many weeks am I going to get? And he said, no, 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 you don't get paid leave here. You have to accrue your vacation time, and at this point, you only have 9 days of vacation days. So I said, well, I'm not going on a vacation. I'm going to have a baby, and I need time to heal and care for my infant. But he said, I'm sorry, that's the situation here. So the next day, he barges into my office. He thought he was sharing some good news, and he says, Karina, I forgot to tell you, there's a program where you can apply, and that'll give you access to all of the employees in the building, and then you can ask them to give you their vacation days. Oh, he's so sweet. I have to tell you that when he left, I closed my office door, and I started crying. I was so mortified. I had worked so hard at my job. And it was a very, very bad experience for me. And then I said, okay, well, it can't just be me. And so I started talking to so many other women, and they were experiencing the same bias, gender bias, race bias. And I said, okay, I want to start a podcast because I want to interview successful women of color that are moms on their career journeys, because I think it's important to share their stories. And one by one, they started sharing a lot of these same issues. And I forgot to, because I was so in the story, I forgot to switch my thing. This is New York. These are these gentlemen here. This is society telling us, knocking us over our head with their messages to us. Anyway, these are the ladies on my podcast. And I just thought it was really important. And then I realized there were just way too many stories like mine. And that's why I've decided to do this work every single day, because I think we have to change this. This is no longer acceptable. And we keep talking about, women versus men, but it's not that. It's about giving us access, taking away these barriers so that we can be our best selves, so that there could be more women in leadership positions. And so I'm here to tell you, let's go back, just kidding. I'm here to tell you that it's not, I just don't want to share these, to me, they're these sad stories. It's not about that. I'm here today because I need your help. Because we can't do this alone. If we could, we would have fixed this problem a really long time ago. And the truth of the matter is, of course, there's been some progress, but there's so much more work to be done. Here's some stats. Did you read the top line? There are fewer women in leadership positions in business than there are men named John. I mean, it's funny, but not really. 1 in 5 C-suite leaders is a woman. 1 in 5 is a woman of color. I mean, these numbers have been like this for a really long time. But okay, so they're pretty straightforward, right? They look bad. But I have to say that I was at a panel a few weeks ago, and there was a gentleman on the panel, and he worked for SurveyMonkey, and he said that they released this new survey. They interviewed 14,000 men in the workplace, and they had asked them about their feelings on gender equity. Oh my God. They found that 58% of US males believe that gender equity has been eliminated. Clearly, that shows that there's so much work to be done. And I really ask you to join us, because we can no longer be on the sidelines here. And the truth be told, women are doing their part. We're asking for the promotions. We are negotiating our salaries, although I was bad then, but I'm much better now, trust me. And unconventional wisdom will have you think that we're leaving early because we're taking care of our kids, but that's not true. According to Catalyst, we're staying in the workplace just as long as men. And so, sorry. And there's no silver bullet. We can't change this today. I'm not here, I have the magic recipe, and it's gonna be fixed today. But this is a starting point, and it's gonna take all of us to be a part of this. And so I have a few things that I think we can start today. So as you look here, inclusive workplaces, you can't fix what you can't measure. And so if you're a company that's represented here today, let's take a pulse of what's going on in your company. Let's do an audit. Where do we need to build out your teams? Because and my favorite quote from Maya Angelou, one of my favorite quotes, because she's amazing, she says, when you know better, you can do better. So I ask you to do better. Let's find out what's going on in your company so you can do better. Now, pay equity. Women and men should be paid the same for the same role, period. There is no more to say around that. I mean, that is non-negotiable, and it's a no-brainer. Paid leave. It shouldn't be the case that only 12% of women throughout the country have access to paid leave. 12%. I mean, that's startling. And lastly, when you say inclusive workplaces, it's about everyone feeling like they're valued and respected. This is not about women versus men. This is about all of us having an environment where we can seek out our full potential. Now, allyship, this is for the men in the room. This is not about beating you up. This is about asking you for your support to help us through this journey. Be an advocate when a woman is not in the room. And here's the other thing around when you walk into a meeting, have that self-awareness to see if there are any women in the room. And if there aren't, question that. Because there's research after research that shows that diverse teams do better. They're more innovative, they come up with better ideas. Don't you want that? Don't you want to win for your business? I think so. And it starts by having that self-awareness. Secondly, be a mentor to women. And in fact, be a sponsor. Take it to the next level. And if you have the senior leadership position, look at who is in your office today and figure out who you can support. And for the husbands and the partners in the room, now I'll be nice, I'll be very nice about this. We need you to step up and do 50-50 at home and with the kids. This is how women are going to live out their full dreams and do really well in their careers if they are supported at home. They cannot go to work, give 60 hours, and then come home and have to take care of the kids and have to clean the house. It's just too burdensome. And all the stories are there, and the research is there that women are more stressed out than men. And this is partly to do with, and then the collective, that's all of us. Alone we have power, but collectively we have impact. If you're a woman here today, you have a responsibility for this as well. Because when women do well, we all do well. Our communities, our businesses, society, government, we have a perspective and we should use that. And the other last thing I'll end with is, progress is slow, of course it is. It's not gonna happen tomorrow. But I believe that we can make change. So I didn't tell you, but I have worked on all levels of government. And while my uncle didn't want me to talk about politics, well, I had the pleasure of working at the highest office of the land. I worked in the White House. And I believe that we can change because my uncle and all of my uncles were the first to congratulate me, and they were beaming with pride because of what I had accomplished. And I feel like those are the moments that you start breaking things down, these societal norms and these expectations for us as women. And for me, I have 2 little girls, and I'm using my responsibility to make sure that they know that they could be in the Oval Office if they want, but they could also be in the kitchen. It's up to them, and I want to give them that right and their choice. So thank you so much. Thank you.